به جل وعلا ولا أكفره وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله ولو كره المشركون. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help, His assistance, and His guidance. We believe in Him and do not disbelieve in Him. I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His servant and messenger. Allah sent him, that is Muhammad, with Deen al-Haq, the religion, the way, the methodology of truth, and this way of life known as Islam will rise to its proper position in this world, whether the mushriks like it or not. Amma ba'd, فَإِنَّ أَصْدَقَ الْحَدِيثِ كِتَابُ اللَّهِ وَأَوْضَاقَ الْأُورَى كَلِمَةُ تَقْوَى وَخَيْرُ الْمِلَالِ مِلَاتُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَخَيْرُ سُنَانِ سُنَّةُ مُحَمَّدٍ صلى الله عليه وسلم وأشرف الحديث ذكر الله وأحسن القصص هذا القرآن وخير الأمور أوازبوها وشير الأمور محدثاتها وأحسن الهدي هدي الأنبياء وأشرف الموت قتل الشهداء وأما دلالة بعد الهدى وخير الأعمال ما نفع وخير الهادي ما اتباع وشير أما الكون. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said the most truthful of discourses is Kitabullah, or the Book of Allah. The most trustworthy word is taqwa, or fear of Allah. The best of the communities is the community of Prophet Ibrahim. The best way of life is the Sunnah of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The best way of life is the one adopted by the Prophet sallallahu. The remembrance of Allah is the most glorious of all things. The best of all narrations is Quran. The best acts are those requiring the highest degree of will and determination. Worst acts are those based on innovation. The best way of life is the one adopted by the prophets of Allah. The most glorious death is the death of the martyr. The most wretched blindness consists of going astray after finding the right way. The best acts are those that yield benefits. The best guidance is that which people may be able to follow. The worst blindness is the blindness of the heart. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu wattaqullaha haqqa tukatihi wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. O you believe, fear Allah as He should be feared, and do not die except in the state of Islam. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير المرسلين محمدين النبي الأمي وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد، قول الله تعالى في القرآن الكريم: إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Today we want to bring some of the issues up close and up front. People are wondering why would they continue to shoot black people down in the street over and over again, although it's just public knowledge now, it's common knowledge that, of course, now you and I know it's been going on all along. There's no difference probably in the amount, but what have you is the difference in these cell phones. And we remember that in '92, the only thing that woke up the people outside of South Central in LA was the Rodney King issue. And Rodney King issue was because of these small video cameras. And it was, they took the trial outside of Santa Clarita, San Dimas one. That's over the hill outside of LA, more redneck territory. And the police felt very comfortable out there telling their yarn. And one police that was they asked him, now they got him on video, they just beat, y'all remember how they just beat him. So the lawyer asked, did you hit Mr. King over the head with your club? He says, no, his head collided with my club. Didn't nobody jump up? If I would have been there, they'd have had contempt of court for laughing out loud. I mean, I couldn't have stopped. Now, to the white folks, yeah, that's what happened. His head collided, like driving down the street. His head was going down the street, and the guy pulled out too soon, and his billy club, he pulled it out too quick, and took his head, and it collided. All of the knots came from collision. Those were the results of collision. He was constantly colliding with all the billy clubs, all of those policemen. So, the thing about it is the young people, especially the young white people and the young black people, don't go for this stuff at all. They're not going for it. But the older white folks, if you notice, they going and voting more for Trump because, as we know, they have developed a picture of the black man as a threat to safety and everything else. So that's who he is. So anything you do to him is all right. This is common, this is accepted, and it's because of what we call perception management. Perception management is when the system or the company or what have you design an advertisement or a program to give you a perception of their product. And you buy the product based on your perception of it, not its reality, right? This is perception management. So you can take a young black man who is the #1 victim, historically, of police violence and all other violence in America, and the target. Most of the sinister schemes in America are designed at young black male youth. It don't make no difference what it is. It could be education, right? It could be getting credentialed in any field or any endeavor. The target, the drugs, was targeted at young black males. That's who was targeted, to break the back of the rebellion. Okay, we all know that. But the other people don't know that. They don't believe that. I want to take you back now, because there has to be an expert to arise in all this. And this expert has to have credentials. And that expert should have the best credentials in the region, or maybe even in the country. So we're going to deal with credentials today. Who has the ability to speak on the subjects that are in the front page of every newspaper and on every talk show all the time in America? That is from black-on-black crime, how it got started. That is, who is the real victim, police brutality, how long has it been going on? And this should be should come from what we call a target. A target is one that is selected by the system. This is a target. When I came here, Rayful Edmonds was the target of the system. Y'all remember Rayful Edmonds? He was just a small-time dope dealer, but they blew him up big, like he was dealing dope. He's supposed to be getting his dope from some of the brothers in L.A., so he couldn't be too big. You know what I mean? He's getting his dope from Negroes, so he couldn't be too big. So, and it couldn't be too good of a quality. That's the next thing. Okay. But they blew him up big. This is the thing about the system. You go back to the time of Bonnie and Clyde and all of them people, the FBI always built up these people. Big, that pretty boy Floyd. Got them splattered in the paper. Why? So when they take them down, that makes them look bigger. Right? And they do that all the time. All the drug kingpins of the 90s, where were they located at? In your neighborhood, right? But is there anybody, you know, when I lived in Colombia, and I was smuggling cocaine, I told you I only met 2 Negroes that came down there, and they was visiting. Everybody else was Colombian, everybody else Mexican, everybody else was white. All of my partners in the smoke and in the smuggling was white. I lived with white boys. That's why Elton John and, you know what I mean, all them guys, that's why I know them. I can sing all they do because all of the people was white till I had some of my folks come down and bring down some other music, you know. Okay, so a target is one that's selected or elected, selected by the system. We don't have time to go through it, but there's a life of a target too. A target has a certain life. And we have to go along and prove this target, prove that this person or this type of person is a target. We have to have some verification. There's another subject we'll try to pass through is longevity of a target. Remember, a target is a short-lived reality. When they select you as a target, you got 6 months, you got a year. If you last 2 years, you are a big-time target. Just think of all the targets in the past. If they was talking about such and such a gang in LA, how long did it last before the leaders and all of them was off in the penitentiary? If they was talking about Blackstone Rangers or Peace Stone Rangers or, you know, Al-Rukin, right? How long did they last before overwhelming events took them over and slowed them down? And they may be dumb enough to add to their demise. Some in the pen talking on the telephone and talking about the old man. They're talking about Gaddafi. So you're going to ensure your demise. So the thing that the white man fears more than anything is for the Negro to have friends outside of all good God Almighty. He jumps. You're talking about flip, turning, cracker, he gets busy. He don't like that. Anyway, we're going to speed up. Targetism, the purpose to encircle, to isolate, to cause depression, loneliness, and in institutions or in the military like Snowden and Bradley Manuel, name is Chelsea now. But the white man will get on your case so much, he'll make a sissy out of you. Yeah, you wearing lipsticks and everything. Yes, he will. Shoot. If you don't toughen up. Whistleblowers, what happened to any of them? People that's been in the feds all their life. They went through the chain of command. They told that we can't do this anymore. It's illegal law. We can't do to people like that. And they open their mouth. After they go through the chain of command, they demonize. They're a threat to security. Everything, anything you can name. They're traitors. Forget about what the other people do. That's why you have to be careful about any response that you have to what the government does. We've discussed this issue of the government police continuing to shoot black people down in the street on a daily basis. I mean, you can't finish hearing about one before another one comes. And if they were conscious of how the world was looking at them, all the police chiefs would issue a okay, stand down order for the next 6 months. Let the niggas turn flips, whatever they do. As long as they're not a threat to nobody. But the broken tail light, let it go. If the car is running, let it go on by. If it ain't wobbling the wheels, the safety, you know what I mean? The nigga just leaning out the seat and the car just slobbing all over the street, let them go. For 6 months. Why? Because we want to clean up. No, why they not doing that? Why are they adding on or showing more death and destruction? Because they have studied all the Kerner Commission, everything. What was the cause of the rebellion in the 60s? Literally every uprising in every city, including Watts, was because the police shot an innocent person down and everybody saw it and the city rose up. Literally 95% of those rebellions were because of that, right? So right now, they've created all of these dictatorial systems, the police departments, right? Do they look like they're civilian police department, or do they look like military organizations that they're going to fight not citizens and help citizens? They look like paramilitary units, right? Going to assassinate people. Their weaponry, the way they wear their weapons, they got their weapons tied down. Remember the old gunfighter movies? They tie down, that is the way you do a citizen. If you got a citizen and they made a traffic stop, you don't have two police on both sides sliding up next to the car, right? Next to the car, and you can't move, and don't move. You ought to hear white folks talk on them, and they might have a black reporter with them, you know, on the, well, you know, I had this experience when I was young. I can agree with the people now. This is more NPR. Because we had that conversation. Yes, we did. Our parents told us, keep your hands on the wheel at 10 and 2, right o'clock. Don't move for nothing unless you say, I even do it now. I got a little warrant here. This is the other day. I'll talk about that later. That ain't nothing. It's just a little regular foolishness. But the target is there to be made an example of. The target, when they wanted to make an example of an Indian chief or a Negro, they hung us up in the town square and left us there for days. Isn't that right? You couldn't go take all this, my poor little boy just got lynched. Lay that nigga there till everybody see him hanging, his eyes busting all out, with him defecating all on himself. You know, when you get choked and everything by the rope. Let it, so them other niggas will know. Be reminded. See, they set the image of how things are, set the stage, then every now and then they reinforce that image. So, we have to be careful that we don't let them make us fight at this time. It shouldn't be any violent response at all. This is not the time for it. Why? Because they setting it up for it. And you fight when they want you to, you are a maximum idiot. Maximum idiot. And what's all the gun stuff for? America, everybody had guns. When we grew up, everybody had guns, and ain't nothing, no big deal. It's just a few minutes ago they stopped riding up and down the street. Remember all the white folks and they pick up, they had a gun rack, and everybody, it was just common. So guns is a part of American culture. And the death rate was this low. In the old days, it would be 1 Negro per year, maybe 2 or 3 kill each other. And that's over a dice game. Got caught coming out or going into somebody's house, or had sex with somebody's wife and like a damn fool fell asleep, and the brother come home from work with his pistol in his pocket, and maybe just lost it or found it and burned them. You know, this was what it was about. When they brought drugs in the community, drugs destroyed the cohesion of the community, destroyed the unity, right? And started us killing each other. That's what it was. Okay. So you determine when the fight is. You have to use a type of delay. So right now we have an authority on all of this. And so we have to pay attention to that authority. I'm going to skip a little bit, and I'm going to bring y'all right smack up to date. I'm going to read something. Y'all know when you're in prison you had that legal paper, remember? This is from back in the 70s. No, first I'll start with this little transcript. This just, I'm not doing the whole thing. It's a little transcript. This is from March 8, 1971, March 29th, 1971. So, it's about an arrest for drugs or smuggling in LA. And the cross-examination says, you mentioned that you found some narcotics at approximately 6 p.m. or 6 o'clock on that day. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Was that the narcotics that had a bag with the Mexican hotel name on it? Yes, sir. So whoever this was, we'll see what they just. Then there's another something about what happened next. As soon as I entered the room, due to the fact that one gun had already been discovered when I was coming into LA from Mexico, my wife had a gun in her purse. This is normal in those days. You carry guns on planes, wherever you go. I was fearful of my own safety, so I began to conduct a pat-down search of Mr. Reams for further weapons. Let me ask you this. Did you prepare a report about this particular event? Yes, sir, I did. And in that report, did you mention that you were in fear of your own safety? I cannot recall. Do you have a copy of the report with you? Yes, sir, I do. Would you read it over and refresh your recollection of that point? Examination. It doesn't indicate that, however, I was. Isn't it a fact that either you or someone else patted Mr. Reams, yours truly, down already at the customs counter, and everybody can see? Wasn't he patted down already? This guy don't remember. I did not. Did you observe anyone else do it? I observed Inspector Hanson having him open up his coat, blah, blah, blah. Just keep your mind open for what we're talking about. I was advised by Officer Donald Stanley of the Los Angeles Police Department, who had been present during the time of the occurrence. That's 2:30, I'll get to that in a minute. That he had observed Marilyn Reams, my dear wife, place a condom in a trash can next to the office, and that returning to room, everybody's supposed to be basically under arrest. Now, for guns and narcotics, do the police take their eye off of you? Of course they don't. If my wife got a gun, would the police wait several minutes to pat me down? Of course not. Oh, good God Almighty. Let's see, they're going to pat you down. They got probable cause. They're traveling together. She's got a gun. I'm not going to walk way down the hallway with no nigga and she got a gun, that's got a gun. Right? This is common sense. Placed condom in a trash can next to the office, and after returning to her room, evidently she had freedom of movement. She could go over to the trash can and run around the customs office. That's new to me. I didn't know they did that. He had retrieved this item and found it contained approximately 3 ounces of heroin. Both Clarence and Marilyn Reams were placed under arrest for violation of federal Now, I found in a trash can inside the room another condom, which contained approximately 3 ounces of heroin. The condom was in a plastic bag, which had the name of Playa del Rey Hotel in Mazatlan, Mexico, printed on it. A hotel bill from Playa del Rey Hotel with the name Marilyn and Clarence was found in Marilyn Reams' personal effects. Now, if you wonder why, we can tell you right away. If they say the attackers in France that caused all the shooting on the seat, they left their French ID card or driver's license, right in the next garbage can was a telephone with everybody's number, right? So you wonder, how do niggas know that that's a lie? How can they tell us a lie? Because here's a Negro, the most popular Negro in California in those days, right? They've been arrested. Let's see here if we can find some arrest. Y'all remember I showed y'all them arrests before? Let's go. Let's just take a quick pic. Oh yeah, here they are right here. This is for the same trial because I'm trying to tell the people about the pattern of behavior of the police. So what they have, I said, I want my arrest record, you know what they call a rap sheet. So the police gave me a rap sheet. Where is that? It's so thin that I said, that ain't my rap sheet. You know, let me see, I'll find it here. But they sent me a rap sheet with 6 arrests on it. It was so thin, I didn't know what to do. This is from 1971. This is my rap sheet. So I was arrested in 67, 68, 68 again, 69, 1970, and I got 2 minutes. That ain't bad. That don't show no police bothering you. You just a nigga and you just get arrested like that. However, I had enough sense go to the courts and subpoena the bail bondsman record, right? And all of a sudden, this is on one little card here. All these are arrests. These are arrests right here. This is just one page. No, this is arrests. That ain't no, probably 20 on that page. Maybe I'm getting arrested since 66, 67, 68, and 69. I must have got arrested 2, 3. Look at here, these are arrests. Arrest. And the date for court. That's what they are, arrests. Right? This is the bail bondman record. See, to prove that the police is bad, breaking your rights, right? They don't even matter when you try to prove it, they ain't got it on record. If you don't have your own record, You say, I was arrested 3 times on April Fool's Day in 1970, which I was. I can remember that easy. It was April Fool's Day. April 1st, 1970. It's not on here. But anyway, you just take my word. Here's arrest after arrest after arrest. That shows a pattern of illegal behavior by the police department. Okay, I'm going to go on because remember, we have to have some experts here. So here we are. Somebody with all these arrests is going to come in from Mexico with his dear wife. And they're going to have drugs on him. Now, he got an organization with runners and everything everywhere. But he's going to come in himself and his dear wife. Right? There's never been arrested in her life. A church-going woman, they used to say. Everybody wanted, all the gangsters wanted a church-going woman. And that's what she was. She's a church-going girl. So, but here she is now, coming in with the most well-known Negro at that time in California, strolling into the airport with heroin here, cocaine here. She got heroin, cocaine here. And they see her going to the can to throw away something at 2:30, and then at 6 o'clock, they come back from the downtown, the police department. Right? And find this dope. Now, this dope is special. This dope has a receipt, wrapped up in a receipt, with the hotel in Masjid, hotel, and got a dog. Hey, that's what they say. But if they pick you as a target and they tell white folks, this is what niggas do, they could tell white folks you fly space saucers upside down in the water. And they'll say, that nigga did it. I know he did it. I heard about niggas doing that. Won't they say that? They say it every day. I have to get on. But this is true though. Says white folks will believe it's just the police, but image management, right? And I'm telling you, this dope here had the name of Playa del Rey Hotel in Mazatlan, Mexico printed on it. And a hotel bill from Playa del Rey Hotel with the name of Maryland Clarence Street. Boy, they was good on that one. So whoever they was, I'll tell you the truth. If with all of these arrests, and this is just some of them they ain't even put on nothing. If they beat you upside the head and all that, they don't show on here. I could win the case by temporary insanity. I could say, yeah, they messed with me so much I lost my mind. Right? I lost my mind. I'm not responsible. Who could take all that pressure? First of all, we're talking about this targetism because there's no Negroes in the United States that's ever had that much contact with the police and the system. Now, we're gonna stay here in 1971 and 1973. Okay, here we are. This is approximately 2:30 p.m. The date I observed, custom days, Here it is on the thing, 2:30 p.m. And they just found dope later on. Okay, yeah. You mentioned that you found some narcotics at approximately 6 o'clock. Now, what's the police procedure? For instance, if you're in a car and you get arrested for drugs and they put you in a car, when they get you to the police station, they have to take the seats out and search the car too, right? That's police procedure. Here's people that's under arrest at 2:30, well, 2:45. and there's been a little ruckus here, which they call an assault. 6:30, yeah, is that correct? Yes, sir. Was that the narcotics that had a bag with the Mexican hotel name on it? Yes, sir. So the lawyer said, that's very convenient. Okay, let me just, if the statements of customs are fairly routine or limited, they don't expand in detail so that the defense counsel can really know what will be helpful to him. And as to those witnesses that the government does not intend to call, there is no burden on the government if I want to, this is my lawyer, want to send an investigator out to try to talk to those witnesses to find out if perhaps they have seen something which the government doesn't know anything about. In other words, we could very well go into a situation where people have made certain observations which aren't reported to the government, and which the government, in good faith, this is a lawyer, he ain't gonna say they're lying, in good faith, when it says it doesn't have exculpatory information, actually may not know that if the people, the prosecution has stuff in their file that makes exculpatory, that may say that this guy didn't do it. If they got a 100% case on you, but they got about 10% stuff that say this guy is innocent, he couldn't have did it, they got to show that too. That's part of the discovery, as they call it. In other words, Mr. Tarleton, that's the Jew. The only authority I have to honor would be Bradley. So this is about getting people as witnesses that are not part of that crew that did the setup. So you'll get a better picture here. But I will answer your question basically in the affirmative. I believe there are some of those government witnesses that I would not call. This is a prosecution. The court, they would be government agents, though Mr. Greenberg, this is the prosecutor. That is correct, Your Honor. The court, are there any person whose names are known to you and who you know that you do not intend to call who are not government agents? Mr. Greenberg. The reply to this is in the negative. And if you will wait, let me double check. He's examining the note. I will affirm my original statement, Your Honor. The only witnesses I have available to me are government agents or officers of the Los Angeles Police Department. That means only, not the other, the only people that was involved in the arrest, not the other agents that might have saw what was going on, but they wasn't part of the setup. You see what I mean? I'm trying to give you a picture of a setup. The only people that the prosecution is going to call is people that are part of the setup, because the other police witnesses, federal agents, if they ask, one of them will say, yeah, I was in the office, I looked around and agent so-and-so was patting down Mr. Reams. That's at the counter. But they charged me with assault on an officer, federal officer. Why? Because as soon as I walk in the room, they pull out dope. I said, not on me, homeboy. So I bust out of the room and knocked the police down and everything else. I said, that ain't my dope. I knew something smelly was going on, but now I know what it is. And now they got my wife, that they saw her with dope at 2:45, and they go back and find it and look at, take her to jail, book her in jail, leave the scene, and go back and find some dope with the name of the hotel and everything in Mexico. My goodness, that must have been the time it took for somebody to fly in from Masjid. It's only an hour or so flight, with some receipts and stuff that they can make up. It's the only thing. Or your Imam is the dumbest man in the world, one of the two, the dumbest nigga in the world, and need to be in the penitentiary. And he'll fly in the LA airport with the biggest organization in California, with runners and everything else and anything he want to do, and he got dope on him. And he get arrested every time he sneezes. Yeah. And go through customs with it. Okay. Do you further represent that your knowledge that your files would so reflect that there are no statements of persons in your possession that would be helpful to either of these defendants? Of course he don't have any. I'm going to skip a little bit to some of the stuff that's going on in the background. What are we doing here? We got a case. It's a pretty serious case, and we want to prove, and we've been discussing this case. Witnesses and everybody. Why are you going down to Mexico with that guy? I said, well, I've been having so much trouble with the police for so long, they won't let me retire. I retired in 1970, and they keep on messing around. They got the helicopter flying 20 feet above the house, shaking the house, and they acting up. So I want to get something on them to get them off of me. They wasn't going for that, so here's what they did. Let me just read a little bit about as I go to prove this stuff in the LA County Jail. Transferred to 2700. I have to read what I have wrote here. 2700 is the crazy house part of the LA County Jail. Shit all over sale. Put money on my account. Lien placed on my account. No money draw. Transfer to 0. No money draw. When I come to turn myself in, I got 25 grand on me. 25 grand is to fight my case. And I go looking around, I find out that I ain't got nothing until later. Then I look and they say, oh, you had $5,000. But if you tell the white folks that the other white folks done stole $20,000, you say, oh, that's what I automatically do. Will they believe you? Just think about 1971, 72, or 73. You got a case and you're telling the people that I discovered dealing drugs in Oakland, that there's a plot, that there's a real plot by the government to destroy the black community. And I played a part in it. They had me playing a part in it. It's destroying the community with drugs. When I woke up, I quit and I retired. They said, oh, you don't quit on us, you don't retire on us. So they arranged the case. When they arranged the case, right, I saw the deck was super stacked. Then they got my poor wife involved in it, and they done told her, you can plead guilty, and you can keep your children, and da-da-da-da. Oh, I said, well, hey, you plead guilty, but I'm gone. If you want to go with me, you're welcome. But I'm gone. This is a stacked deck. I ain't going to. They got the police, they got the judge, they got the army and everybody, and they still cheat. All the referees is on their side, and they cheating too. I said, this is a stacked deck. So I left the country, of course, you know, went to Algeria and joined the liberation movement, and then wound up in South America because the liberation movement didn't have no money. So we had to sell drugs, cocaine though. In those days, cocaine is benign. They got heroin on me. I never done nobody never know we did no heroin. Just to mess with heroin, because heroin was killing the poor black community. I sold a little cocaine, as much as I could get hold to. And something that's worse than all of them was crank. Crystal meth, the white folks call it. If you want something that'll wear you out or ruin your community, quicker than heroin, it's crystal meth. Boy, and all the white folks now, like in those days, was messing around. Anyway, so I come back to the country. I discovered that we got to fix this problem of the mean old white man all over the world. Long story short, so here's the notes again. Transferred to 2100. Problems in the mess hall. Requested transfer back to 27 to the crazy house. Transferred later under guise of disciplinary action. Harassed and placed on B row. Shit-filled cell. This is group number 26. When I read it, I remembered. Imagine now, you're in LA County Jail. You're going to prove that the white man is selling drugs to everybody. He's in control of it. Don't have nothing to do with us. And you're in the LA County Jail. So, you bring your money so you can get a good lawyer. They confiscate that. They steal that. They steal, you got 25 grand. That's what it did it then. So they steal 5,000, 20,000 of that, and then they leave you 5 for a minute until they come up with another scheme. Let's see, here's the other scheme. The other scheme is tax. They tax your money, and you don't have no money. So your friends send you another $10,000 on the books. That's like $100,000 now. You got $100,000 on the books, just on your jail books. So all of a sudden, here they come. Just give me a little time. I'm going to find it. In other words, the target is being hit with everything in the American arsenal. From taxes to fines to anything that you could think of. Here it is. This is a special attention. This is a supplemental exhibit to combine the defendant's motion to transfer pursuant to their return. In other words, this is, oh, here it is. Franchise Tax Board. Order to withhold personal income tax. I ain't been in the country for years, so what income tax I got to file? What, from Colombia? The point is, I'll read this and I'll wrap it up. I'm in the jail trying to prove white folks is white folks. They put you in 2700. That's the crazy house in the jail. And white folks are coming by with white coats and clipboards. And you're in a shit-filled cell. Because actually there are some people crazy. They don't clean them out, they just throw you in there. It's like the snake pit. I don't know if y'all ever saw that, but in them days, they just threw you in the, excuse the expression, shit-filled cell. And then the white folks with a clipboard come around. He's the doctor, the brain doctor, and he has an assistant. He said, this one has paranoid schizophrenia. He believes that white folks are selling drugs to black folks and destroying them. And the other one said, is that right? And then they look at you, you laying there trying to stand up and try to find a place to lay down without laying in doo-doo. And this is going to have some psychological effect on you. So you go into court and you're saying, well, why are you here, Mr. I just want to prove that white folks is doing that. And they saying, aren't you in 2700, the crazy house? You know. So now, transferred to 2100, harassed in child hall. Transferred to Siberia for 5 days. That's the super hole. Super hole. Told problems to the sergeant. Was told I would receive no more harassment and would be released to regular modules. Instead, transferred to 2700 again, the crazy house, and later on B-roll, placed on pro per. Now, they took all the money, stole the first batch of money, got other money that they left, just $5 grand. You can't get no good lawyer for that. So my friends come up and they put 10 grand on the books, just 10 grand, just like 100,000 now. You just think 1970 something early, that's like, it's about 10 times, yeah, that's like 100,000, they just knock it on the books for you. The next day, somebody's paying attention because they get another order. It said, total due, $10,000. That's what the tax is. So you can't say ain't nobody paying no attention. And you can't say too that the same thing is not happening right here today, because any fine that comes up, I'm gonna pay the fine. And they're gonna come up. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can say, well, I thought I checked out this. Hold on, you go fine. Pay or play. 2 weeks later, transferred to pro per. Now, I'm on pro per status. That means I'm going to fight my own case. Okay. Parking lot. Visitors harassed and followed. Relatives and friends visited by FBI and threatened. No money draw, constant harassment in dining hall, constant transfer to offset total study program. Since I'm fighting my own case, they keep you running around. You can't think about no case. I just want a few things. Effective counsel. It's a note to myself. I am not lacking in determination. I'm still a young guy now. Many rights have been violated, number one. A complete interference with my normal life, number three. Depriving me of property, number four. On several occasions, placing my life in danger. 2 assassination attempts. These are well known. These assassination attempts are known in California, throughout the whole prison system. They're just known. I told my son about one of them. He said, but didn't such and such happen? I said, yeah, I forgot about that. Everybody knows about it. That's 1970. That's not the only ones, but those are the ones that people saw. Conspiracy and threats on my life. Conspiracy to and in fact depriving me of all my civil rights. Kangaroo court judge, okay. I have a clear case of entrapment, eyewitnesses to conversations, all of that. I got a case against the white folks, but I want to show you some of the basic background. 287 U.S. Penal Code. The essentials of the enforcement of law is to reveal the criminal design, to expose the illicit traffic. U.S. 287 and U.S. 454. Entrapment is the conception and planning of an offense by the officer and his procurement of its commission by one who would not have perpetrated it except for the trickery, persuasion, or fraud of the officer. So when Sheikh Umar Abdul Rahman and all of them got them cases in 1990, first thing we did was told the people, watch those people around them, because they're going to be snitches. Then I saw a couple of Negroes, that's all they're in trouble now. Then they had the captain, so-and-so, he was in Egyptian intelligence. Before long, Sheikh Umar Abdul Rahman is headed to the penitentiary for terrorism and he can't even see. But they give you a case, right? When they get ready, they draw a picture of you, they can do anything they want to you. If they draw a picture of black people as criminals, as dangerous, as a threat to society, they can kill 5 or 10 niggas a day in the public square. And it's okay, isn't that right? Because that is the police's duty to keep the community safe, isn't that right? And the dumb people has never had any association with the system. So all of the people, Isna, Ikna, Zaid Shaka, Uncle, what's his name up in New York? Siraj, all of them, they never had no, that's why they don't talk about it. The Muslim community in America should have been prepared 30 years ago. We've been talking about it from day one. Nobody else talks about it. If you would have talked about it, you could have put a prevention on it, you could have put a stop to it. But if you go and you vote and you swear that America is kind and clean and healthy, then you can't come back and say like CARE can't come and say, oh, the government is doing this to us. No, because you were just up there the other day talking about how the civil rights and this, that, and the other, right? Let's move on to a few more things. Entrapment is established when a criminal design originates with the officials. I just read, that's another case. And is implanted in the mind of an innocent person so that he is induced to commit a crime which he was not predisposed to commit in order that he may be prosecuted. I'm using entrapment over setup. Entrapment is bad enough. Why I say entrapment? Because if I tell them, the white folks, if you think I'm stupid enough to come in from Mexico with heroin and cocaine with my wife, and I have the biggest organization in Northern California with runners that do everything, and you telling the people that the white folks put it on. So well, we'll give them what's best. Next to that, that's entrapment. Because they ain't gonna swallow entrapment, and they definitely not gonna swallow that you're an innocent guy. You're retired and you're a do-gooder now, trying to help the black community. They ain't gonna swallow that. Why? Because you don't look like it. That's not the picture that they've given of a nigga on the TV, in the movies, or anywhere else. A do-gooder nigga? Wow. Where you find them? Anyway. Proof of entrapment. At any stage, I don't want to be bothered with that. A policeman is clothed with authority of the state. That authority carries with it corresponding responsibility. And the policeman who abuses it is in no position to claim that he should be treated like any other erring citizen. How many black people do you have to shoot down? You know, I'm talking about California. Do you know why I always said, y'all thought something was wrong with me? I said how nice the DC police is. Oh, they're nice. I said, yes, they're wonderful. Compared to the LA Police Department, the DC Police Department is civilized. If you think I'm lying, go out to LA and start talking loud or say something. They say it's been reformed. I don't believe it. Those are murderers, crackers from the South, Alabama, Mississippi. Got a job out there to look over other niggas that came from Alabama and Mississippi. And they shoot them down in the street all day long, anytime they want, and there is no call for justice for it. There's a call for justice, but nobody here. There's no increase in blacks being killed by the police. They just got cameras and you see it. They've been shooting. I think you know, at the demonstration down there, the Black Lives Matter, this is a couple when it first started, Ferguson. Half the people there was white, you know, young white kids. They different than their old grandparents and all that. I think they're civilized in some way, crazy in another, you know, about whether they're a boy or a girl, they ain't got no sense on that. But human beings, you know, I know my kids, they don't care about white, black, you know. I said, but black history, they said, okay, we know that, you told us that. But when they turn on their music, they listen to anybody that they Adele or anybody, white folks. They don't, you know, we listen to black music. You had to slip and listen to some white music or go to the penitentiary and you'll know all the white folks hillbilly music because they sent niggas so far away from the city that, hey man, you knew every, is that right? You knew every hillbilly. I don't want to change the subject, but we were down in Texas at a program and you know, on cable TV, they have an advertisement about old records. And so we was watching Clint Eastwood or something. Then they had an advertisement about old cracker hillbilly music. So everyone, they would say, you know, and I'd sing along with it. She looked at me like, how you know all that? I said, I know all about the white folks in you. Well, you don't know nothing but. You know every white folks, I mean hillbilly, real live hillbilly stuff. But anyway, let me get back to about the police. Evidence in civil rights action supported findings that suburban police officers who repeatedly stopped black plaintiffs' automobiles, this is back in the 70s, you think this is new, driving while black. There's always been a crime. Automobile and arrested him for traffic violations, conspired to deprive him of his civil rights. This is supplemental 327 and supplemental 683. Now this is what I'm saying to the jury. To my jury, this is the only place you can protect your freedom, their freedom, not mine. For once you walk out of this courtroom, you are susceptible to the same injustice I am. Truth is continuous, it's always subject to change. Yeah, I got a little chance to say a few things. That's it. This is not necessary. This is the objectives, because after a while I had to have, you get the pro per to fight your own case, stay in the library, but you have to have sometimes a backup attorney. This is a public defender. I can't bring no more money down and hire everybody else because they'll just take that. Sherman versus U.S. Good news. It signs all the numbers. I'm saying here to the court, I plan to give incriminating evidence against myself for the simple reason that in order for the truth to be known, it is necessary for me to disclose or to do so. Also, I wish to point out that from the minute I pleaded guilty in 1969, the authorities made my life ridiculous. I'm already incarcerated by being here in jail. No property, anything I have is subject to confiscation. In other words, they confiscate everything you got, then they move you to the crazy house, then they move you out of there to the hole, then they move you back around. It's like in the federal junk, when you file writs against them, they put you on the bus. In those days, you had 45 days to get back. It's changed a little bit now. But you be at McNeil Island, you filed a writ on the government, they put you on a thing, you headed for El Reno. But they'd stop you off in the Roseburg County Jail, they'd stop you off here, wouldn't nobody know where you're at. After 45 days, the court throw your stuff out because they don't hear from you. Because they don't nobody know where you're at, you on the road. And if they find you, they'll shoot you to the county jail next door. Take another week to find you. Anyway, what I'm talking about is we have gained the experience of the system. That's why we're qualified to deal with it. That's why we're here. After all of these years, this stuff starts 50 years ago. That's 50 years of experience. So if them dumb niggas in Oakland, they're not dumb niggas, if the brothers or the snitches do something and we are at the height of Islam. When I say we're at the height of Islam, remember, you have to remember, pay attention. All of our forecasts, all of our predictions, right? Just think about it, have been basically correct over the years. Why? Because of experience. And on the U.S. government, we've been 98% accurate. Why? Because all of this dumb stuff, they done did everything to us over and over again, and we were fortunate enough to live through it. I'm sorry, most of the brothers don't live through it. And the few that do, they run them crazy. You don't think I'm sitting there holding the Quran? I almost want to sleep with it if it wasn't haram. Why? Because I'm telling you, man, if Allah look out for you, you got to go look out for everybody else. You can't sit up on your behind. Some of the brothers, my good friends, we were in exile together. How is it that we're always right, but nobody want to talk to us? Does the NBC? How is that possible? Unless you've been the target all along. What I'm trying to tell y'all, this targetism didn't start here in D.C. This is not the second or third go-round. This has been recycled 50 years over and over again, and we don't even have to be woke to know what to do. We can sleepwalk through it. Why? Because you've been through it. It's like a blind man with a cane. He done been down the street so many times, right? All his life, he don't even need his cane. He don't need to see. Why? Because of the repetitive, I'm trying to tell you, this subject of targetism, the subject of mission, the subject of goals, it boils down to this: when God interferes in your life. When this stuff was going on, I was a youngster, it was serious business. It ain't nothing now. When they do this stuff in California, everybody else was sitting there like they did in these days. Well, Big Hank gonna be finished in a minute. Big Hank gonna be broke. Big Hank gonna be crazy. Big Hank going to penitentiary. Blah, 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 blah. The Muslims here and in Oakland, when them clowns was acting a fool, started 3 or 4 years ago up until recently, everybody, if that happened to me, man, I would be, and people are advising me, man, if they did that to me, I would do. I say, you don't know nothing about this. Nobody gonna listen to you. Hell, you don't know nothing. You ain't had no fights with the system, and you think I'm gonna take your advice? Bull crap. You think I'm gonna listen to Siraj and Abdul Malik them? If you're a champion, you gotta list your fights, right? Who you had to fight? If you ain't fought nobody but Johnny Quick, that ain't good enough. Oh, I fought Roberto Duran, Hearns, and on and all that. All right. Now we're ready to listen. Why? Because you done fought the champions of the world, right? We have, I know this sounds funny, but I'm just telling you the truth. We have fought this cracker all along, and we've been fought him so long that it ain't nothing he can do. The longevity slipped up on him. So, do we use that to sit on our laurels? No, brothers and sisters, we got to get out in front of the people and do what we can to help them be guided. Same program down at Malcolm X Park. The little white kids was there, and everybody was just a peaceful protest about Ferguson. It was some niggas there from New York. We got to fight, we got to burn it down, we got to. So I said, can I speak? I didn't come to speak, I came with Sakina just to look. So I got up there, I told her, I say, during the Black Days, people came up and they got a lot of us killed, talking all that gangster talk, talking about burning something down. I say, y'all came here for a peaceful protest, to let the system know you do not approve, right? So remember, you got the public on your side, right? Wall Street movement, I'm in Oakland. Oscar Grant, killed by the police. The guy that's handcuffed, laid on the ground, shot in the subway. Everybody on our side. Here come, I don't want to say the Communist Party and all them bums. Setting stuff on fire, turning stuff over. Then everybody say, these people are violent. They forget about all the people shot and killed. That's why, don't let the police, I hope people watch this, don't let the police kill this nigga, that nigga, because they're going to keep on killing them. They want us to rise up physically. Why? Because they're trained for it, they got everything, ain't nothing you can do physically. So right now, as they keep doing it, be very peaceful. Now in the old days it was totally different, because we didn't have no sense when we were younger. Because the public is on our side. You see what I mean? Now us as Muslims, we have to educate the people on all this stuff the government is doing. Karen won't speak up. A lot of people don't even, you know, some of the imams, they not only don't know it, they don't believe that the government does stuff like that. And we tell them, look man, 8 out of 10 stuff, the government did that. Why? You can see what I'm dealing with right here. It says that the most famous nigga in California, been arrested 200-300 times, comes into the airport with heroin and cocaine on it, and he runs out of there. Then they go back 6 hours later, 4 hours later, and find some more dope that the man said at 2:30 he saw his wife throw in a can, at 2:45, right? And it happened to have the name of the hotel, and they was registered to that and everything. The dope was wrapped up. Now that's a dumb nigga there. Like we're gonna smuggle or send something illegal, and we put Masjid al-Islam, 46 Oak Creek, Benny Road, 2019, right? That'd be the smart thing to do. And if we're gonna blow up a damn building, or shoot up people in Paris, why not take your ID? The rules of all gangsterism, stripped down. None of the clothes that you wear. No suit with Brooks Brothers 4th Street Northwest in it, right? And it fits you. You can't do that, right? Everybody, you may go to Gabardine somewhere and buy, you know, work clothes out of there, have somebody go buy them for you, but you're not going to have nothing on that relates to you, isn't that right? Especially an ID. And you leave your ID on the doggone seat, right? in the garbage can, and there is a telephone with all the Algerians and everybody else's phone number on the telephone. So, why I know that's a lie? Anybody knows it's a lie, but I know it's a lie because they said this nigga here, rich and famous, in the newspaper, telling everything, and he walked in the airport from Mexico with dope on him. And they brought his wife, which she used to go to church. She ain't never did nothing wrong. You always keep your wife and your mother and kids and all that. Okay? They pressed them. I said, okay. You can go and plead guilty, but the brother is long gone. You can go with me, but it don't make no difference. I'm getting up out of here. And guess what we found around the world? The same monster. The Peace Corps was all CIA, my goodness. They took everything and turned it into a police station. So, brothers and sisters, we want to close with this. Remember, being a target scares everybody to death, but some kind of way it's actually good for you. If you use it properly, use it correctly, you can use it to help people. And the system is so bad and so evil that it will train you. Before long, you'll learn certain rules. Number one, you'll learn how to stay focused on what you're doing. Why? Because they'll move you from this room to the next room to the crazy house. Pretty soon, you won't care what nobody thinks. You just read your Quran and Hadith, and that'll be your criteria. And if people like you, fine. If they don't, to hell with them, right? Because they ain't going to be there on the day of judgment, and you have learned. See, when the European finish with you, you know right from wrong. You know who the devil is, if you live through it. The rules is, you don't live through it. The numbers are bad of survival. Our brothers that made it through is small. The ones that do make it through, if they hold them in the penitentiary for 30 or 40 years, one of my friends got out, not too long ago, one of the most famous good brothers. You know, go up, you try to leave a little something, but you know, they messing with your money, so you ain't like the old days, but you try to help everybody. So, well, I got some people from overseas, they want to talk about the movement, want to do a special. How about we come up and holler at you? And then they give you the truth. They said, well, when they let me out, I can't, number one, I can't be around such and such a people, and number two, I got to check on what kind of speeches I can give. You know, I ain't going to do that. I ain't going to do that. I'll close with this. I told you that Targetism is good, to be in the target. If you live, it teaches you. If you know what's going on. If you live and you survive, you know what's going on. Because you're the target. The reason they target you is to encircle you, to suppress you, to do away with you, to develop depression and psychosis. And all of that 99% of the time works. Okay, if it don't work for them and it works for you and you stumble to Islam, and this is not a advertisement or a sales pitch, but dear believers, when you read the Quran, that is true. And when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells you about al-fawdul azim, the supreme achievement, you know, And he talks about he'll put you in a place where water runs through it and everything else. And then even in this earth, he will take you from Naslawam to Naslawam. And that highest level is when you are well pleased with Allah, and Allah is well pleased with you. Now, I'm just telling you from experience, with all the money, with all the tenders that you can run across, and the best blow in the world. Because when we was in Colombia, when the blow come out of the cooker, you know, I was so good at it, when I would walk in the house, white boys from Canada just bought a shipment or something. I walked in the house, and I walked right over to the cabinet. I said, you got a cabinet full of blow-in animals. I said, my goodness, how you know that? I said, because niggas can smell blow. You know what I mean? Because it's freshly cooked, so you can smell anything freshly cooked. I'm trying to tell you, and then Allah bring you to Islam with all of this stuff from the past. When you get a chance to see what they do to your people and to all people, that there's good and evil in the world, and you got a choice between haq and batil. This is a war that's continuous. Haq and batil don't finish up. On Yawm al-Qiyamah it's finished. But in this world, we will never develop what we're always talking about. Utopia, Shangri-La. We're going to try to get as close as we can. But as long as the human being is here, the animals don't have to struggle with their nafs, right? But you and I do. And the shaitan is a live reality. All shapes and forms coming at you from every direction. But if you, and I'll close with this, the Quran, the Hadith talks about the Prophet ﷺ, and I'm paraphrasing, mentioned that during my time, if you missed 10% of your religion, you would be finished off. You'd be terrible. There'll come a time that if you can hold on to 10% of your religion, right? 10% of your religion. And then the Prophet ﷺ says at that time, it would be like holding a hot coal in your hand. Right? Y'all remember that hadith? This is a good hadith. This is a Sahih hadith. That means the time we're living in now. And we don't call ourselves 5%ers, we call ourselves 10%ers. That we're trying to practice 10% of the deen. You do. You may not believe that you can be psychologically high for the rest of your life. It's possible. And you can't be brought down. See, you take a few hits of blow, you get some good weed, people come in talking crazy, it'll bring you down. Isn't that right? Remember, I guess it did in our day. You said, man, you're bringing me down. You gotta, right? Isn't that the way people still do that? You know, if the environment is right, you stay a nice, brother high, then you eat up all the cookies and stuff. But if people act stupid, you say, man, you got to get out of here with that because you bringing me down. When you get high off this deen, human beings, the environment cannot bring you down. They try it all the time. I'm just telling you the truth. I done tried it and it works. That's all I'm doing. I ain't lying. I'm just telling you that once you get high off this deen and you practice a little bit of it, at first it's scary. Because the first thing you're going to have to fight is the white man. Oh my goodness, but he got everything. And then you got to deal with the truth, the haq. Now the truth means sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, and at first years, it's the light mostly shining on you. That's difficult. But after year of helping the weak and doing good, polishes up your behavior. Pretty soon, you're off and running. Oh Allah, we seek thy refuge from anxiety and grief. We seek thy refuge from lack of strength and laziness. We seek thy refuge from cowardice and niggardliness. We seek thy refuge from being overpowered by debt and the oppression of men. O Allah, suffices with what is lawful, keep from us what is prohibited. With thy grace, make us free from want of what is besides thee. Ameen.